Here's a memorable Peterson tweet about ants.
Oh, this was wrong.
Says 30% of the ants do 70% of the work. Not a consequence of the West or capitalism, in case it needs to be said. Now, fun thing about this is if you click through to the study, he's wrong about most of this. In fact, when it talks about a lot of ants not working a lot of times, that's because there's like this complex cooperative system of working in shifts for the good of the whole group. So it's almost the opposite of what Peterson's taken from it. But again, all of this makes it really hard to take this seriously. And if you just kind of see Peterson as this eccentric who, has this weird jumble of views, and for culturally contingent reasons, he happens to be getting a lot of attention right now, then it might not be clear, how much effort the left should sort of devote to doing things like this conference. All right, so I want to try to, and when I was originally doing this, the temptation to make fun of Peterson a lot more than I'm doing right now was almost overwhelming. I found a passage in Maps of Meaning where he's talking about a dream he had about his beautiful cousin, which is the funniest thing that I've ever read.
Oh, could you send that to me?
Yes.
Thank you.
What you saw at the beginning there was a little moment from a lecture in 2018 when I was being heckled in a friendly way by the late, great Michael Brooks. That is the first interaction between the two of us that was ever captured on YouTube. And I've been thinking about that a lot this week because the third anniversary of his passing is coming up on Thursday, which sometimes feels like a few months ago. It sometimes feels like something that happened 50 years ago, and had me thinking about my time on the Michael Brooks show, and I've been watching some old clips of that. For example, this one.
Welcome to the post game. Michael Brooks here with the team and Harvey J.K., returning champion. How you doing, Professor K?
I'm always a happy guy when I'm with you, and I'm only sorry I have to talk to Ben still long distance.
Still long distance. Well, one day, I'm sure you'll meet Ben Burgis. Ben Burgis is, of course, our resident logic guy, coming to bring us some logic. We discovered that he's an Aries, so it makes sense. I had wondered why he was so into all of that shit. But I read his chart.
He's an Aries and I'm the Libran. And
yeah, you're a Libra. He's an Aries. And every time this triggers people, I'm only going to talk about it more. That I can promise you. That you can bank.
So what Ben Burgess tries to do is pretend that his feelings that he gets from the estrogen in the environment are actually logic. Instead of just a sensitive desire to be a fucking pussy. That's what I call logic for the left. Hey, Ben, can we do an actual reasoning process together? Oh, the poor people, I don't want them to work. I feel so sad. Let me find a Bertrand Russell quote. By the way, Bertrand Russell, also a pussy. He's your hero. He's a freaking vegetarian who couldn't hold a job.
Is that his hero? Is that his hero?
Yes, that is his hero.
Yeah, this is...
we come out of two different traditions, I can tell.
Wow.
Yeah. No,
wow, fight amongst the cocks. Two different traditions of caring about lazy, shiftless people and peace.
Piece of shit.
I support the wheelchair guy. No, I support the vegetarian guy.
You're talking to two sides of Ben now, I think.
Yeah, no. So we have to. Speaking of which, actually, I forgot to send. Speaking of fascist machismo, I will send to you guys, or maybe Vic could. Vic, if you're listening, you could tweet at them. This incredible footage of Bolsonaro encouraging a bunch of people around him to drop to the ground and do push-ups, and then he can't. There has to be a really powerful metaphor in there. And obviously we have to do that on the show.
Fucking Bolsonaro's fighting the cultural Marxists.
All right. Hello, Ben. How are you? That was a right wing Mandela
I'm good.
interlude.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm actually right wing Mandela feels like an appropriate warm up since I'm going on the Jesse Lee Peterson show tomorrow morning.
What
and
the fuck?
I think that,
I thought I was. Wait a second. Wait. We have two pieces of business to deal with. First, we got to play your song.
And the way that that ends once right wing Mandela is gone and Michael's back is a way that after I think I figured this out. I think July 2019. So after that, pretty much all of these, if you go back and watch them, all of these are still available on the TMBS channel on YouTube, or if you go to this channel at the very bottom, there's a link to get a playlist with all of them. We'll start with "Are You Ready for Your Song?" and it's this Debunk Song that has these samples of my conversations with Michael in it. Anybody who's watching that at the time will remember that very well. The actual song we're going to play at the outset of the post game, because we are going to be joined for the post game by the musician and DSALA activist who contributed that song.
Before we get to Ben Burgis, author of Give Them an Argument, Logic for the Left, and his debunk segment, we have a new song that Ed has sent us. Do we hear?
We have two versions. We'll go with the long one for the first show here.
I want to go to mockery really badly, so please go.
Okay.
You got to restrain me.
This is actually pretty funny.
Logic. You're going to show us how to argue now. Go. It's funny, right?
This is based on data from a bunch of different countries. There's abundant evidence that that's bullshit.
I like that. I like
One
that.
of your listeners made this?
Yeah.
Break it down.
Very talented audience.
Humiliation, shame, and ridicule, as many used tools by Michael as they are by many good leftists. But Professor Ben Burgis is here with his own show to arm us with the logic and facts so we can make a more sophisticated, convincing counterattack.
All right, take a seat. So this is Ed, who Michael refers to in that clip. He also saved us when we were having the tech issues during the main show. So yeah, I mean, this is, long before I met you, I had heard that song many times, because it was, yeah, I mean, I think, like, doing the math, that episode, the episode where he first introduced the song, was about a year on the dot, before before he passed. So that's so during that year, every single week I heard that song. It was always there was always this shtick about, like, "Oh, are you ready for your song?" And and I'd be like awkward about it, and that was but yeah, that's tell me about this. Tell me about how this came about.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on your show, Ben. I'm a huge fan, and it's really good to be here. Basically, it was probably one of the first debunk segments that ever happened. I believe it was TMBS 80, because I was working with the file, and that's what it was called in my computer. But Michael, during one of your segments, during one of the first debunk segments, says, "And we're looking for a song." He kind of just threw it out there. And I kind of was like, okay, like, this is a contest, like, I'm going to win it, and I am going to make the song for this. Because, Michael, I'm sure he's popular with a lot of good musicians, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of submissions, but I'm going to go for this. I'm going to shoot him a song. And I worked on the song for a couple days. I got, well, I don't want to say I got help, but the file originated with sort of a studio fragment that I had made with these guys, David and Ryan from a band called Eureka Sound. They had come into my little studio space that I had at the time, and they laid down just like 2 bars of music as a loop, and we just never met up and never finished it. And I ended up turning that into the song, and I shot an email over to Michael, and I said, I think I sent him an Instagram message to confirm that I sent it to the right email address, and he never responded. And the
man was not good with email.
I don't know. I'm just a fan, and I assumed, he didn't like it, and I think he messaged me maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and he says, "Oh, did you ever send that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And he said, "Send it again." So I sent it again, and he messaged me like 3 or 4 days later, and he said, "Send it again." And so I sent it again. And then I think that same night I was looking through this through my Instagram message with him in preparation for this. But he then later that same night, he said, "Send it again," which I should have just emailed it to Matt Leck, I guess. But
yeah,
because that was definitely a classic Michael.
At least CC Matt. That was what I think literally every time that there was anything that was time sensitive, that is what I did. But that all tracks. Okay. Yep.
So yeah, and it was something where I essentially just was really obviously honored to be just like a small part of the Michael Brooks show. I'm a huge fan. And that song was like, I've been making music and like bought bands and stuff for probably 10 years now, maybe 15 years. But essentially that was the first time of a song that I put out that people said, "You're the guy." I met people on Bernie that like knew that song. And it was kind of like this, wow, like maybe, because we all have, internal, like,
sure,
are we capable, of being who we want to be, whatever. And like, am I capable of a musician? And that was like a moment for me where I was like, okay, you know what? Like, this is cool. Like, this is people like this, and people are showing me some love. And like, I'm always going to be super grateful to Michael for that.
Yeah. I actually remember during a moment of self-doubt, along those lines, that I had back in probably several months before the clip we just watched. I don't remember exactly, but I remember it was cold, which is what makes me think that because that was like July in Brooklyn, and it would have been boiling by the time that clip happened. But yeah, but anyway, I remember being in studio on TMBS, anyway, whatever, some random time that I was doing that, and I would and I mean, I used to often like text him, be like, "Hey, was that okay?" It's like, whatever. And I sort of, we were like leaving to like go get dinner after, and I said something like that. I was like, "Hey, how was that? Whatever." And he was like, "Ben, I have you on my show every single week. This is my business. I'm not that altruistic. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't good." So it's like, that's nice. I like that. You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.